or online at shop.tcm.com.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, back once again with author Brent Phillips, whose latest book is titled Charles Walters, the Director Who Made Hollywood Dance, which actually inspired us to bring you this look that we've been having at Charles Walters Films, which we've been doing every Friday this month. Welcome back, Brent.
Thank you, and I want to say thank you to TCM. You know, to do the celebration of Charles Walters has just been
Well, we're very
remarkable.
proud to do that, and very happy with your book.
Thank you.
And hope it does well, and I hope people get to know Chuck Walters, because he did such great work.
Between this platform and hopefully the book, that maybe he will start being discussed again.
Yes,
so, thank you.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. The next Chuck Walters film we have for you is a romantic comedy he directed for MGM in 1960. It stars Doris Day and David Niven. The title is Please Don't Eat the Daisies. Now, this is a comedy. It's kind of hard to define some of these films later on that weren't musicals, but had a musical number or a song or two in it. But it's not really a musical, but Doris Day does sing.
Yes.
Talk a little about this movie. Did he, Chuck Walters, did he mind being kind of eased away from musicals? Because he was such a musical guy.
I think he was, again, since musicals weren't being made on the grand scale that they used to be,
right,
he found ways of utilizing his talent. And you're absolutely right. This is another one of those comedies where the borders are blurred between the genres. It's a comedy, but it feels like a musical because Doris Day sings several times in it. There are little musical moments where Chuck had to choreograph something here or choreograph something there. And Chuck, you know, because he was so good at musicals, the timing and the pacing of a comedy like this is on par with his musicals. So I think, you know, that sort of, all of that he learned back then, he's been able to translate into a comedy like Please Don't Eat the Daisies.
And he's working with people that know music on his same plateau that he does, like Doris Day.
Yeah.
And Janice Page, and talk a little about that part. That's an interesting story about Janice Page being in this movie. Yeah,
well, Janice Page was not the original choice to play Deborah Vaughn, the Broadway vamp of this film. Basically, Chuck Walters wanted his good friend Betty Grable to do it. And as he said, you know, Deborah Vaughn was supposed to be a Broadway star of very meager talent. And he kind of thought, well, you know, basically, Betty Grable made a career. She was brilliant in what she could do, but she wasn't a great musical comedy star. And so he kind of thought, who could they have put in this role that would have been able to not really skewer her personality that she had formerly had on film, but to sort of, you know, kind of do a little tongue-in-cheek take on Betty Grable. And so he asked her, and she was very excited. There was going to be a whole musical number with feathers and everything that she was going to do on stage, and it would be kind of a tacky number. And basically, Betty Grable said she loved everything she was hearing until Chuck said when the film was starting. And she just looked at Chuck and she said, oh, but sweetie, that's when Santa Anita opens. And with, as Chuck said, with Betty Grable, horse racing came first.
Yes, exactly.
And so she ended up not doing it, but that's fine.
Because she had also retired from films, we have to say, at this point. 5 years ago. So she hadn't made a movie, and she was having fun with her martinis and at the racetrack.
Absolutely.
And living in Vegas and doing all that kind of stuff.
But thankfully, since she didn't do it, we found somebody of great talent, and that's Janice Page. And what a performance she turns in this film.
Very underrated, Janice Page, always.
Yes.
She always did great work.
Yeah, she spoke glowingly about Chuck once upon a time. She basically said, because she had worked on Broadway in shows like The Pajama Game and stuff like that, she really knew musicals. And so I think doing a comedy with a musical director like Chuck really put her at ease. And she said, you know, from her experience, here was Chuck Walters, who can do with a scene, an acting scene, break it down the way any director would, but then could turn around and also do a musical number. And she said the fact that he could do both so equally well was really rare in Hollywood. And so, you know, she just said, you know, he basically had skills that so many other directors didn't have, and that he did it all with such charm and such grace and such ease. So, yeah.
So let's see the film also with Spring Byington and David Niven. From 1960, Please Don't Eat the Daisies.